Welcome back to your daily dose of Formula One content during the winter break. We're slowly getting through things, but if you are really missing Formula One and you're new around here, feel free to subscribe a video every single day in the build up to Christmas. Usually we do our driver reviews, however every single Wednesday, including Christmas Day, there's a special one for you, I'm going to be doing the almighty weekly mailbox. You love this series, you love the fact that I've brought it back in 2019, so I'm not going to stop over the winter. And also, just a little side note for questions for next week's episode, but also a Christmas special Christmas Day episode, throw them in the comments section below, zing them over on Twitter, zing them over on and Instagram, you know, all the good stuff, but the best way to do it is the comments section. But yes, if you've got any special Christmassy festive ideas for any questions, throw them below as well, and I'll go back through nearer the time and pick out my favourites. Some awesome questions today, so let's stop messing around and jump into question 1, which this week comes from DF King Amar, I think is how you say it. Do you think Mercedes will prioritise McLaren in 2021 and retire from the sport, or even merging with them? So, a little bit like they did in the past, McLaren-Mercedes kind of idea. And will Force India and Williams stay as customer teams, but will McLaren get prioritised? It's quite a lot to divulge here, so we'll give it a go. Divulge? Divulge and dissect is kind of where I was going with. But it's an interesting one. I seem to already be forgetting that in 2021 McLaren are, well, at the end of next season, McLaren are stopping with Renault and partnering up with Mercedes. And of course, earlier on in the year, that was such big news. But yeah, I'm forgetting it already. So when I saw this question, I thought, you know what? That's really interesting, because there's always reports about Mercedes leaving. And whilst I don't really buy into them, I don't personally believe them myself, if they did leave, I can see them merging with McLaren. I definitely think, on a money side of things, probably having a fully fleshed out team isn't brilliant for them, but while they're winning and earning championships, it definitely is. But if they weren't, and if they did go back and they did decide to just provide engines, definitely making that bond with McLaren like they had in the good old days, as some people would say, I can see that happening. I can't... In regards to the part of the question where you say prioritising McLaren, I suppose if they were working together, McLaren, Mercedes, yes, they probably would. However, with 2021 and the new regulations, part of that is that all engine suppliers have to give their customers absolutely everything. So not only the most up-to-date engines with all the most up-to-date parts, but also the software as well. So I think that'd be a little bit more difficult for them. But of course, if they were fully partnered with McLaren Mercedes, then yeah, of course they'd be able to put in funds to extra staff and whatnot. And just a food for thought, wouldn't it be mad if Mercedes left F1 and joined up with McLaren and Lewis Hamilton joined the team? I don't know, Hamilton and Sainz, Hamilton and Norris, probably Sainz and Norris will still be there together, I suppose. But no, I definitely think McLaren and Mercedes would be brilliant to see, and I definitely think it's the right decision for McLaren in the future. Question 2 has just been on your screen for a couple of seconds. Comes from Andrew No 22, number 22 I'm guessing. Will Giovinazzi keep his seat in F1 either with Alfa Romeo or another team for 2021 and onwards? Good old Giovinazzi is a driver coming up this week on our 2019 driver review, so keep an eye out for that one. Of course, just a cheeky plug as well, you can follow me on Instagram and find out a little bit earlier who the next day's driver review is. But onto the question at hand. I like this one, Andrew, because definitely Gio's year, without, you know, spoiling my review too much, it's definitely gotten better, and I think the Giovinazzi we have now is a much more rounded driver than we saw in Melbourne. So yes, next year is going to be critical for him. He has to improve and make that step once again, which of course is impossible to tell, but I'm liking the progression he's had this year, so I can't see why not, and he wouldn't be able to do that. Kimi Räikkönen, is he going to want to stay on another couple of years after next season? I'm not too sure. However, considering one of those seats is a Sauber seat, Alfa Romeo seat, the other one is a Ferrari seat, Gio currently occupies the Ferrari seat. Now, with Ferrari's millions of junior drivers in Formula 2 next year, I think currently it's 5 junior drivers in Formula 2 next year. Schumacher, Eilert, Schwartzman probably being the most predominant 3 that I think could potentially move up to Alfa in 2021. That's Gio's competition, but very easily they could just move him from the Ferrari junior seat, and I'm saying that in quotation marks, move him from there to the Alfa Romeo seat, the Sauber seat, if that kind of makes sense. But with drivers like Hülkenberg potentially on the market, maybe guys, who else could potentially be in danger of a seat? Bottas potentially, those kind of guys, a Russell, you know what I'm trying to say. Maybe it's a bit of a gamble, and Gio does need to move somewhere else in that midfield. But at the moment, I don't think he's proved enough for another team to take him on. So Alfa Romeo, for me, is his best bet in 2021. Question 3, and kind of the title question. I'm not too sure what I've gone with for the title just yet, but I will definitely base this around these two and the new pairing in Formula 1, Ocon and Ricciardo. Will they be a good pairing? And will Ocon be able to show the talent that we've seen in the past? Well, I think that's the kind of vibe you're going with this question. Will it be a good pairing is the start to this question. I think Daniel Ricciardo, Ricky Bobby, by the way, at the top as well, Ricky Oki. I don't know how that sounds as the new pairing, Ricky Oki. I'll just leave that pondering for a moment. But Daniel Ricciardo, has he ever not got on with anyone? Does he not ever bring an absolute smile to everyone's faces? I mean, come on. I think it's going to work. Esteban, a very fiery, very, very fiery relationship with Sergio Perez. Blimey, that really reached boiling point and then some. So he's got a bit of history there, but I don't see that happening with Daniel Ricciardo. I think these two will get on very, very well. Ocon, who's had a year out, there's a bit of pressure on the line for him in one sense. However, he does know he's got a multi-year contract with Renault, so has a little bit of time to embed himself, but also can respect the fact that a Formula 1 seat can just vanish. And I think that'll spur him on even more. So the pairing, I definitely think, will be totally fine. But in terms of Ocon, I think you're kind of alluding to in your question, again, apologies if I'm reading this wrong, will he be able to reach the talent levels of Daniel Ricciardo? Obviously, Ricciardo, a proven race winner. I spoke in my Hülkenberg review that I think Ricciardo's definitely someone that a lot of people see as a championship potential winning driver. I am one of those people. So he's kind of a benchmark, and a good benchmark for the likes of Hülkenberg and Ocon. So, first 6 months, I think you've got to give Ocon a bit of time. But if he can be on the pace of Ricciardo by the end of the year, who knows? I definitely think they'll be a good match for each other. Considering how close Hülkenberg and Ricciardo were, I think it'll be a similar kind of story, and it'll be that one result somewhere over the season which really puts one in front of the other. But it's a huge opportunity for Esteban. I think he's going to take it. He knows the pressures involved in Formula 1 and how quickly it can go. He's a good guy, a quick driver, and I'm really excited to see those two alongside each other next season. Question 4. Love this question. It's so just out there. What unexpected driver will be in the top 3 teams over the next 5 years? Now, over the next 5 years, I'm kind of hoping we won't have 3 top teams and there will be a whole bunch of top teams and anyone can win. That's what I'm hoping. But we're talking about Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, of course, in this question. I like it because we have seen in the past, not so much in modern Formula 1, but in the past, some real strange driver changes at the top. Fisichella to Ferrari in 2009 is one that sticks out to me. Kovalainen to Lotus in 2013 even, at the end of the season. Even D'Ambrosio to Lotus in 2012 for that one race. So I think to any of the teams, if Vettel retires over the winter, if Albon doesn't reach the levels that's expected, Hülkenberg's going to be a really good opportunity for them. Someone who's consistent, someone that is out of a drive, is a free agent technically, so they won't have to pay massive fees. So it wouldn't surprise me if Hülkenberg wheels his way in somewhere. I think then you're looking more into that midfield drivers that potentially I look at guys like Danny Kvyat, who definitely I feel deserves another chance at Red Bull. Are people expecting it? I'm not too sure. Albon so far has had a really good end to 2019, but if he continues next year as he's ended this year, I'm not too sure that'll be enough. And Kvyat is definitely someone I think's come back with a lot of flair this year and proved himself. And I also look at guys like Kevin Magnussen, you know, that have shown those sparks at some point. They're not in a young driver program, Sergio Perez, those kind of guys. And K-Mag, I just have this funny feeling we could see him at a Ferrari. Just in pure desperation, they need someone, let's go for him for a season kind of job. But I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. And the final question is an absolute killer, absolute destroying one question. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I wouldn't usually keep in this kind of question, but the amount of people that dropped the cheeky thumbs up on HRBFC Josh's question, I couldn't ignore it. I had to choose it, which winds me up a little bit, Joshy boy, but I'll allow it. I'll let you off, because obviously you will want to know my thoughts on it, which is scary. To the question itself, who is the most overrated driver on the current grid? No matter who I say, I'm going to be shot down in flames. To be totally honest with you, I'm not really, without dodging the question too much, I don't think there's too many drivers I would say are overrated. You know, of course, you see lots of things about Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, all those top 6 drivers. You see lots about Carlos Sainz, and that's, for me, totally warranted for all of them. I think as well, there's lots of underrated drivers. I think Valtteri Bottas gets a lot of criticism that he doesn't necessarily deserve. I like the look of George Russell. I think he deserves a little bit more praise sometimes. And even my boy Romain Grosjean, I think, deserves a lot more praise. But hey, that's probably a bit biased. Pierre Gasly. I think a lot of people forget that first half of the year. I think they really do. Don't get me wrong, he's had a brilliant end to the season with that podium as well in Brazil, but I definitely think it shouldn't be forgotten because that was very, very worrying. Also, Alex Albon. I love Alex, one of my favourite drivers on the grid, and I think he's had a strong end to 2019, but, well, even saying that, the last couple of races he has been 6th, qualified 6th, comfortably 6th in the race, and I think if he wants to really cement himself, he's going to have to be on that podium at some point in 2020. But it's the audience question is the last one, so I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. There's going to be some scary arguments I can sense, but I'll look forward to joining you. Look forward to seeing you all down there. That's your lot for Mailbox 23, I believe it is. I mean, of the rebooted version. There's a few more beforehand. Of course, questions below for next week's episode. Special festive questions for the Christmas episode. So it doesn't have to be anything about Formula 1 if you don't want to. That'd be quite fun and unique to answer. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you're new and are just craving a bit of Formula 1 at the moment, daily videos up until Christmas Day. So feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.